Hello everyone. Now today I'm gonna make a top 10 Thomas the Tank Engine favorite episode season 1 video. Now I never thought about making a video list for a long time ever since I put myself on YouTube. Originally I had started in 2012, but you think I started in 2024. Oh well, that was a long time back then. Alright, here's the list of my top 10 favorite episodes of season 1 Thomas the Tank Engine. Alright, I'll get started. Okay, number 10 is Trouble for Thomas, US version. Now, what's good, or at least likable about this episode, that it shows you that no matter how dependable, useful, kind, and trustworthy you are, or at least from Thomas, as he's the one who has to deal with the trolls and trucks, you could still get in trouble at some point, get into some kind of problem, even though it was unintentional. I think that's the moral of the episode, at least in my opinion. Also, there are two scenes I like to see the most in this episode. It's when Thomas comes out of the tunnel with the musical soundtrack of that at the same time, and after that scene, the shot where like this, where Thomas above and the camera low, those cars coming through on with Thomas this way. I love that. Very nice looking, very nostalgic too. I like this episode. Okay, number 9 is Thomas Breaks the Rules, US version. Now, I don't remember if I laughed at the joke that Thomas said, cowcatcher. Maybe I did, it was a long time. Alright. Now, this episode is fun to watch, just seeing Thomas encountering a policeman who's not friendly and kind, just grouchy, rude, and mean, just because he couldn't get any sleep. I mean, I would be like that too, but that's still no excuse to use the law or power you have to take advantage of someone, or at least I think that's what the policeman was doing. I think. And so, because of that, Thomas has to wear cowcatchers until Sir Tumper had been reminded of Toby when Thomas says, I look like a tramp. And that's where Toby arrived in Island of Sodor. His first time in Island of Sodor, and his first episode of Island of Sodor in there. I like how he came there, and I like how he handled the police officer by ringing his bell to scare him with his bicycle next to him, on top of him. And he handled the freight cars much better than Thomas, which that's also great for him to do. What else? Oh well, Thomas was first as jealous, but when he was pleased, when he heard and saw that Toby scared off the policeman, he was very pleased about it and became friends with Toby, which that's great. I like seeing Thomas that way. Be friends because he helped you deal with that motherfucker of an asshole. Alright, number 8 is Terrence the Tractor, US version. Now I saw this episode when I was a kid from the 10 Years of Thomas VHS. That was a good VHS back then, good times. Now I like this episode because it shows you never judge a book by its cover. Like how Thomas judged Terrence, but when Terrence helped Thomas, he realizes his caterpillars, or whatever those things are, I still don't know what they are, or at least I do, but lazy to remember, are not useless, they're useful, and they could help with something. Like how Terrence pulled Thomas out of that massive snow pile, and used his caterpillars to pull Annie and Clarabelle out of the way. It shows you that like I said, don't judge a book by its cover. Secondly, that different machinery other than locomotives have their own strength and power. Without them, you couldn't escape from a situation like Thomas was in. So that's what I like about the episode. Anything has its own value, strength, benefit, and anything else. Alright, that's all I have to say for this episode. Okay, number 7 is Call, UK version. Now, I know how Henry feels. He has no strength. He may look big compared to James and Thomas and Percy, but in the inside, he's powerless. That's because he has two fireboxes, or at least that's what I recall, that there's, or he has three fireboxes, or a firebox. There's maybe two. There are two. They are small and not good for him to have the strength to pull a lot of cars, and not good for service of trains. So what Sir Tom Hand did for him is give him Welsh Coal to boost off his energy and get him more strength and be faster. That's great. Sir Topham cares about his problems, and that's what makes me feel good. Like, it gives me a heartwarming feeling. Like, he cares about his feelings, he cares about his situation, he cares about his problems. It's like, that's what every person should have. Only the good. The bad, fuck the bad. Yeah, I got a little personal here, but trying to make it sound more relatable to Henry, the episode, and everyone else. I guess that's all I have to say for this episode. I'd like it. And another thing, when Henry makes that sad face in the beginning, when Wrangelstar says, one morning, one morning, Henry was feeling very sorry for himself, I thought it was funny. It was funny looking. I know his situation isn't funny, but his face is funny looking. I couldn't help but laugh while looking at it. Okay, that's all I have. Next. Okay, number 6 is Thomas and the Conductor, US version. Now, I remember seeing this when I was like 13 or 12 years ago, back in 2007, with a DVD on it in the Public Library of New York City, Brooklyn. This is where I live, New York City, Brooklyn, in case you're wondering. I decided to put on the DVD on the DVD player, and I liked it. The US version was great. It was fun to watch. Then, years later, when I was 18, I decided to check the UK version. I forgot what it's called. And I was like, it's alright, it's okay, it's fine. So yeah, the US version, I think it's entertaining and fun to watch. I also see Henry having that problem with his firebox, not working well. And like I said about the number 7 episode, about my 7th favorite episode of season 1 called almost the exact same opinion of this episode. So yeah, so there Thomas went ahead without the conductor, and the conductor run through all the way to where Thomas stopped at his signal, which I don't even know how he would run and last that long. If he, in real life, although it is realistic in the show, he would have been stopping in some place and would have never gotten there in time until at night time. So I guess all I can say is wait for the conductor or someone else in case you run into something. I guess that's the moral of it. Alright, that's all I have to say for this episode. Next. Okay, number 5 is the Flying Kipper. Now, I always wonder a clip from the Flying Kipper, like which episode was this from, when I see the song Accidents Will Happen. Of course, I didn't know where it came from until years later, like in 2010. And I was glad that I found it. It's Henry, with his Welsh Coal improvement, and running well with the Flying Kipper. It was such a fun thing to watch, and such a psychological relief sort of fun. It's like showing that what you have right now as an improvement, or at least a remedy for something, you could enjoy yourself, and you can rely on yourself for the first time ever since you're done with the problem you have, to do whatever you can, like Henry pulling the Flying Kipper with his Welsh Coal improvement. And secondly, like I said, the accident will happen, the clip where Henry crashed through the brake van or caboose, that scared the fuck out of me as a kid. That scared the fuck out of me. It gave me a heart attack. Not literally, but you get the point. At an exaggerated point. And when I saw it in the Flying Kipper episode, I wasn't scared anymore. I thought it was nice to see. Not getting injured, but has some kind of feeling. And like I said, that scared me. And in the aftermath, I feel sorry for him because he was doing well for a few episodes, and then he got injured. But no matter, there's a bright side. Henry's firebox has been increased in size, and has a new shape at the back of his face, which means he doesn't need to use Welsh Kill anymore, and he's better off with his new shape and bigger firebox. So I guess the moral is, don't lose hope, because even though you've been hurt or been in some trouble at some point, good things happen at the aftermath. Okay, that's all I have. Next. Okay, number 4 is Off the Rails, UK version. I'd like to start off by saying that I like it when Henry insults Gordon by calling him a fat face. In the US version, he calls him lazy bones, but in the UK version, fat face, which I think it's even funnier, even more creative. That was great. And this is where Gordon was like he didn't want to do work or something else. I see the episode many times, and yet I forget what's going on. Problem is, I have a bad memory. Oh well. I like the part where he does a little more stronger than that, when his driver or fireman told him to take freight cars, which Gordon does not like. He likes taking passengers, but not freight cars. So Edward pushes him to the turntable. Gordon turns around to the turntable and fell down to the ditch. And this is my favorite part of the episode. Sir Thomas has said this: "Oh, and Gordon, I'll leave him where he is. We haven't had time to bond with him now." That was very funny and realistic, like the show. And that was great. Teaches Gordon the lesson to do responsibility. And there were boys in there, and when it was nighttime, Gordon came out of the pond by James pulling him out, which you see James doing this, which that was strange, and after that, he learned his lesson. That's all I can say. Number 3, The Sad Story of Henry, UK version. Now, here's something. When I watched this episode a few times in the UK, I thought this would be my number 1 favorite. Well, it was until there are 2 other episodes I haven't remembered. And the reason why this episode should have been my favorite, because it's very dark. You know how it went. Henry staying in the tunnel forever while getting bricked up in front of him. Engine dying out, rusting, dirty, can't talk, can't move, can't do anything. He's like a zombie or something like that. He's dead and yet alive at the same time. Like I say, like a zombie. Except he isn't a zombie, he's a machine. Which, like I say, that's dark. Oh well, he goes into the tunnel, staying in the tunnel because he doesn't want his paint ruined by the rain. And Sir Thomas and passengers did their best to take him out and do his work again, but couldn't. So what he got was a punishment for at least for 1 episode or more for staying there, as I said earlier. And that's what he regrets his actions. And that's where it gets dark. Rango Starr says, "But I think he deserved his punishment." Jesus fuck. Is that too much for kids to hear? I don't know. Oh well, whatever the reason, I like this episode. Dark. Okay, that's good. Okay, number 2 favorite episode of Thomas and Friends, season 1, is Whistles and Sneezes, US version, American version. Now, I first saw this episode back in 2014, and I really liked it a lot. I kept watching it because of how simple it is, like so simple yet very enjoyable to watch. And I love how Henry was able to be resilient after being, well, I don't know how to say it, attacked by Gordon's jealousy of Henry taking the passenger cars and doing them very well, more than Gordon. And he continues to be resilient after getting hit by the stones of those kids, by giving them karma, by blowing sneeze smoke onto them, which that's also great, a nice lesson to learn. Don't you dare disrespect anyone or you'll get hurt back. Karma will attack you. So there, that's why Whistle and Sneezes, US version is number 2 because I love the lesson over there and how resilient Henry is. Now, my number 1 favorite episode of all time in Thomas and Friends Season 1 is James in a Mess, US version. Now, I never saw this episode when I was young because I never owned a VHS, DVD or whatever. I only saw the clip of James getting hit in the tar wagons from Accidents Will Happen song. Alright, now the reason, whatever, why this is number 1 is because of it shows like the same as Whistle and Sneezes. Karma will attack you if you disrespect someone. It'll hurt you back. Second, Toby is also resilient like Henry in that episode, Whistle and Sneezes. Although he lost patience with James, but then again, he can take care of himself. And seeing James getting his comeuppance by getting pushed by the freight cars and getting hit with the tanker tar wagons, and get tar on his face, being humiliated. That was great. That was very satisfying to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch and very satisfying to watch. I love how it ended, seeing James close-up shot, that's what he gets, and he should have known better. But that's what he thinks in his head. Alright, so that's all I have for today. My Season 1 Top 10 favorite episodes of Thomas and Friends. Hope you'll enjoy. Hope you liked it. Leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. See you later.